What is the meaning of life?
The meaning of life. Oh, wow. That's a deep question. I think the meaning of life is to be lived, to be lived. Like you have to live your life. I think that's the meaning. If I were to get all of this into one meaning, it will be is that you're supposed to live your life. Like you're supposed to not just exist. I mean, if you want to exist and that's how you live your life to the fullest, that's fine. Like I feel like everybody has their own way of living their life to the best of their abilities or whatever they want. You have people that they feel very fulfilled by, being in the countryside and riding horses, or you have people that really feel like they're living their life by traveling, or you have people that feel very fulfilled in their life by having, work and a wholesome lifestyle, whatever that is. But I feel that whatever it is, you have to find out what is it that makes you feel alive. And I think that's the meaning of life. The meaning of life is figuring out what makes you feel alive and doing more of it. Like if you like that, then keep doing it. Like I feel that when you do those things and you feel happy about you living your life to the fullest, you're going to transmit that energy to your job, to your relationships. You're going to transmit that energy to the people that you meet, because you're so content
Yeah.
with what you're doing. You feel fulfilled. So you're not seeking for fulfillment from other people. And
Yeah.
sometimes I think that we live our lives, or a lot of problems that we have in our relationships, is because we're looking for that fulfillment from another person, for that external validation. Like I need somebody else to tell me that I'm worth it so that I can feel worth it. But I feel that if we do all this work for us internally first, then what happens is you just have so much good energy and so much uh, wisdom to give, and so much your relationship. I just feel like it's a spillover effect. It will affect everything else. It will affect the way that you lead. I have coached executives from Fortune 500 companies. I've coached executives, I mean, and managers from Google, Salesforce, Warner Media. And every time I talk to any of my executives, I always talk about their personal life. Because I'm like, if you're having so much stress at work, and I'm not saying that some jobs are not stressful. There's some jobs that are very stressful. But
Yeah.
how do you cope with stress? And how are you fulfilling your life? What are you doing that makes you feel at peace, so that when you come into your work environment, then you feel that peace within you, and you transmit that to the people that you're that are that are under your care.
What do you wish for?
What do I wish for? I wish for more humanity. I would say I wish for more of that.
What does that mean?
uh, yeah, that means that we learn how to care for each other in a very deep way. That's will say something. That's something that I wish for
Do you have that in your community?
in my community. So there are different communities. I think that in some communities I do feel that, in some communities sometimes I don't. And you have to figure out when you're going through life, um, what type of community makes you feel more accepted and like you belong and all of that, and then go from there.
How does a community make someone feel accepted?
How does that community? Yeah, I love your questions. Well, I think that somebody you feel accepted when you feel that your opinions are taken into account, or um, you matter as a person, regardless of the external things that you bring to the table, like regardless of status and control and money and power and all those things. You are a accepted human being just by being there. So you feel like you're worth. Your presence is valued. I would say, yeah, you feel like your presence is valued. Oh, I like that.
Do you have a story where you did not feel accepted?
Oh my gosh. That is a strong question. So, yes, it was a work story, which I'm going to write about in my book. So, I'm writing a book called Leadership is a Responsibility. And basically, that book highlights my own experience in academia. which was a very negative experience at the end. And it was, yeah, along those terms. It made me feel at the end like I wasn't valued, I wasn't accepted. And unfortunately, when I went out and I interviewed other women in the workplace, I saw that some of those women were having the same experiences that I was having. So I started to write a book. Basically, it was my way of like writing things down, because as things were happening, I was like, what did just happen? Because you go through certain situations in life. So I started writing the book. I started interviewing people, interviewing women and Afro Latinas about their experiences at work. And I started looking at the trends, and I was like, oh, that's exactly what I'm going through. So I started to write the book. I wrote a little bit about woman experiences in the workplace. I felt about how I felt excluded in that workplace. And then all of that is put together with some guides about becoming an inclusive leader, a responsible leader. But yes, it was in the workplace. I felt that, and people feel it in different ways. So some people feel in the workplace, some people may feel it elsewhere, but it does happen sometimes, not all
Yeah.
the time. Yeah.
What did you do? Because a lot of people are in that situation. So,
Hmm.
what did you? I mean, obviously you're no longer there, so you eventually quit, but or left or whatever happened. But how did you handle it while you were there?
So how I handled it while I was there, I would say that I looked for a lot of help. So I doubled down on the coaching. I doubled down on my own reading, meditation. I try to ask myself, well, is this something that, how do I want to show up for me while all of this is happening externally? Because that's something else that we have to understand, is that a lot of things are out of our control, but we can still decide how we're going to show up. Because at the end of the day, we're going to be looking back and say, well, I shouldn't have done this or shouldn't have done that. So I would say yes. So I looked at the external situation and said, well, I'm working into this environment that is so toxic. It makes me feel so bad. But regardless of that, how can I show up for myself and for other people?
Yeah.
People that were looking up to me at that point. And I looked for a lot of encouragement and support. And I think that helps a lot. I feel that when you're in a situation where you feel excluded or you feel like you're not accepted, you have to look for your support group. And fortunately, I had a very good support group. I mean, I developed a good support group while I was going through that. And I think that was very helpful.
Did you do that at work or outside, like friends outside?
It was a combination of both, because I was able to make very good friends at work when that was happening. And also, I was able to gain some friendships elsewhere. Not gain some friendship, but the friendships that I already had, they were very supportive of me. So you need to talk it out. You have to let people know. Sometimes things happen. And when you're having a good community, a great support group, I think that makes all the difference.
Yeah, I would agree with that, definitely.
Hmm.
I want to give a quick shout out to those that are listening live. Thank you so much for being here and hanging out with us. We appreciate that. For those of you that are up to this point and watching us on the replay, make sure you hashtag replay so that we know where you found us and we can send you some love. But I would love to ask you, Marisol,